She used to sit by the window every morning, her trembling hands wrapped around a cup of lukewarm tea. Her name was Evelyn Grace, though most people in the nursing home called her Miss Grace. It was a name that sounded gentle, but her life had been anything but. Evelyn had once been full of laughter. She had dreams, a home, children she loved more than her own breath. There were days when her house echoed with the sound of life, birthdays, songs, the smell of Sunday lunch in the kitchen. She had believed love was forever. She had believed that family meant safety. But love, as she learned, fades in silence. It fades slowly, like an old photograph left too long in the sun. Years ago, Evelyn had been strong. She worked 2 jobs to raise her children after her husband passed away too soon. Every coin she earned, every night she stayed awake sewing clothes or cleaning houses, was for them. She told herself, one day, they will understand. But they never did. When her children grew older, life changed. Visits became rare. Calls became shorter. Eventually, her house became quieter than a church at midnight. There were arguments, cruel words said in anger, accusations about money, about who should take care of her. Each conversation ended with silence so thick it felt like a wall between them. One cold autumn afternoon, her eldest son drove her to what he called a place where ULLB looked after. She remembered the way the car smelled of aftershave and regret. She didn't speak much on the ride. She just looked out the window at the trees shedding their leaves, one by one. It felt poetic somehow. When they arrived, she looked up at the sign, Silver Pines Nursing Home. She forced a smile, pretending to be grateful, pretending to believe this was temporary, but deep down she knew this was the last stop. The first nights were the hardest. The air smelled of disinfectant and loneliness. She listened to the muffled cries of other residents, the endless ticking of the clock in the hallway. Each tick reminded her of something she had lost. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Her children stopped visiting. Birthdays came and went without a single call. Christmas passed with empty chairs and untouched gifts. Evelyn started keeping a small journal, hidden under her pillow. In it she wrote every memory she could still hold on to. The laughter of her little boy when he first learned to walk. The day her daughter graduated, the smell of her husband's coat when he hugged her goodbye for the last time. She wrote until her tears blurred the ink. Sometimes she would sit by the window and talk softly to herself. She'd say things like, maybe they're busy, or maybe they'll come next week. But she knew. Deep down, she knew they weren't coming back. The nurses were kind, but their kindness was professional, routine, predictable. They helped her eat, helped her dress, and smiled because it was part of their job. But no one held her hand when the lights went out. One night a new resident arrived, a man who used to be a teacher. He spoke of his children too, of promises broken and memories fading. Evelyn listened quietly, realizing how many hearts inside those walls had been left behind by those they loved. She once said to him, "It's strange, isn't it? We gave them everything we had, and now all we have left are memories of giving." As the years went by, her health declined. Her hands shook, her eyes grew dim, yet every morning she still sat by the same window waiting for a familiar face that never appeared. There were days she would hold the phone to her ear, pretending to hear her children's voices. "Hi, Mom," she'd whisper, answering her own imagination. It was her way of feeling human again. The staff sometimes found her asleep in her chair, clutching her old family photograph. It was worn, creased, but still showed the same bright faces of people who once promised they'd never leave her alone. One evening, the nurse found Evelyn in her chair, still holding that photograph, her eyes closed, her breathing soft and shallow. There was no fear on her face, just a quiet acceptance, as if she had already said her goodbyes in silence long ago. The next morning her bed was empty, and the window where she used to sit let in a gentle beam of sunlight. It illuminated the teacup she always left half full. No one came to claim her belongings. No one asked what had happened to her. Her name was written on a single label, placed in a small box with her photo, her journal, and her wedding ring. The world moved on. The halls of Silver Pines grew quiet again. Another room emptied, another story forgotten. But if you ever walked past that window, you might swear you could still feel her presence, a soft warmth in the light, as if she was still sitting there waiting for someone who would never return. And maybe, just maybe, she forgave them in the end. Not because they deserved it, but because she was too tired to keep holding on to the pain. Because sometimes, forgiveness isn't for the ones who hurt us, it's for the ones who waited too long to be remembered.